How easy is it to set up as a self-employed commercial finance broker?
We're going on to the myth busting section. So if you've got to deliver anyway, then go and deliver for yourself.
You know, we make it easy for them, for the community. Did you worry what sort of when you decided to go on your own that, you know, were you going to be successful? Were you worried about it?
It's one of those things, isn't it? You always I think it depends on your own personality, but I've always backed myself and I always think that I can do it, and I've been doing this job now for 15 years, so, you know, I've never not done it right.
Yeah.
But there's always that element of doubt in your mind. But I suppose the thing that really kind of made me feel really comfortable with it is you've got that pressure anyway. Yeah. You know, you're working for somebody and they're not going to accept that they're going to be paying your salary and you not performing. So, you know, we've lived with that pressure, whether you feel it as pressure or not, you know, throughout our careers. So for me, it was just, yes, it feels more real because it's you, it's right there, and your family's livelihood is on you. Yeah. But really, that's been the same the whole time. Yeah. So it hasn't impacted on me particularly, no.
No, I agree. I mean, I remember waking up like the first day going self-employed and thinking, oh gosh, what do I do? But yeah, you know, for me, I wanted it to work. I believed in myself. You know, you work hard, don't you? And I always thought to myself, do you know, if it didn't work out, I've still got the skills that I do being self-employed. You know, if it really didn't work out, and I don't think I know anyone who it's not worked out for, you know, you can go back into the same profession that we do now, just kind of on its own.
Yeah, completely. And I think you've got those experiences of you've tried something and it didn't quite suit your lifestyle or the position you've been at that particular point. But ultimately, you know, you've given it a go, and you're still in the same position that you were beforehand.
Yeah. So I guess one of the big things when you go on your own is sort of setting up. How did you find it?
I think like anything, it's like breaking it down into component parts really. So it can seem daunting at first, without a doubt. But ultimately, there's a lot of support there for you from the business, from Vaughan. So, you know, I think that the big thing that we'll start off really with is the funder panel. You know, it's there and ready to go. Yeah. You know, across all the different product types, across all the different tiering of customer and kind of risk appetite. So for me, that's there in a box ready to go. Yeah. Whereas you know, the alternative of doing that yourself or going through the FCA process is obviously, you know, pretty extensive and costly and timely as well. I think that, you know, the PII cover there obviously gives a lot of comfort and aligns to that. Yeah. I think another thing that I've been, you know, really keen on throughout my career is a CRM system as well. You know, being able to track, you know, what you're doing, understanding, you know, your customer, recording all the data properly, and also the audit trail as well is really important, really important. So making sure, you know, privacy notices are sent out, disclosure documents, that the way you interact with your customers is compliant. Yeah. But really having a system there that helps you track that and, you know, and do that. I think for me, one of the big advantages from Vaughan's is the support received from the founders as well. I'm sure you'll feel the same. You know, some really experienced people within the business that have gone through the process of setting up the licensing, all the funder relationships, many forms, as they keep telling us all the time. So, you know, I think from that perspective, that, you know, they've put a lot of the graft in before to make it easy for us. You know, at this point, the business's website is really decent, shows exactly what the offerings are. Might have plagiarised quite a bit for my own website. Hopefully that doesn't make the take. And then I think, like, you know, you and I really like the member community. I think that's the bit that makes it not feel lonely. Yeah. I don't know if you feel the same on that point.
Yeah, I mean, having switched, you know, definitely the support of the founders, you know, being able to pick up the phone and actually know that you're going to get someone. You know, it could just be a quick question and you think, you know, just want to pick up the phone and find out the answer. You know, if you don't know, you don't know. Yeah. Really helpful.
I think, I mean, in addition to that, you know, the fact that there's the NACFB membership, you know, we'll be attending the you know, the annual get together there. So there feels like there's a community around that. So that's a definite positive. And probably finally, a kind of real support around, you know, how do you find information about the customers that you're looking to deal with? So, you know, being able to be FCA compliant or FCA registered and approved, you know, being able to use the tools available such as Red Flag to be able to pull out any data of customers to make sure that we're, you know, targeting the right businesses. I think that's really key. Yeah. But then I think, like, in terms of the overall process, from how do you go from like a start position. So I've gone from an employed position into a broker position. There's lots of individual little jobs that you've got to do.
Yeah.
But it's like anything, if you break it down into pieces, it's much more manageable. I put together a little kind of 30-day plan or so. You know, how do I do all these jobs and what needs priority? For me, setting up a bank account and registering a limited company took a day.
Wow.
You know, and that was, you know, really low cost. Happened almost immediately, and then you've got that big kind of momentum to build from there. Like I say, a lot of the tools that you're afforded through the Vaughan's membership already give you that leg up.
Yeah.
And then so the things like ordering business cards and, you know, appointing an accountant, and, you know, how do you do, you know, management information, you know, how do you track that? So there's those things that you have to go and do, and no one's going to do them for you. But there's loads of people that have done it before, haven't there? You know,
That's
that
it.
you can talk to.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, is that, you know, there's a number of us, isn't there? And, you know, you're kind of not on your own. You can kind of ring up and
Definitely.
say, how did you do that, or where should I go for this? I think that's good that we've got that community.
And your experience was slightly different, wasn't it? Because you switched in terms of coming over to Vaughan. So how did that go?
Really smooth, really well. I was supported all the way through. Picking probably back up on your point about, you know, it's not lonely. It is a real community, so, you know, you've always got someone around you. You know, you can ring someone for a bit of help or just a bit of a chat. And it's good, you know, at the end of the day, you and I, we're both brokers, but we've got that support in each other.
Yeah, and I think the mutual respect as well. I
Yeah,
think that's one of the big things I pull out from, you know, my experience of joining the business, is that there's people there that are really talented at what they do.
Yeah.
You know, and there is that mutual respect that that everyone's of the right mindset, everyone's in the right way to address risk. You know, doing the right thing is really important. Treating everybody fairly is important.
Yeah.
Not just customers, but, you know, your peers as well.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, for me, that part of the experience has been really good.
Yeah, definitely. So there's plenty of networks out there. Why Vaughan's?
Yeah, it's a good question. I spent quite a bit of time speaking to various people, as you'd expect, and I was in the fortunate position that, you know, there were quite a few options available. I think for me there was a few things that kind of swung it from Vaughan's perspective. The first bit was meeting the founders. You know, for me that was as much as that's a bit of a kind of a pat on the back and makes you feel nice. That just showed that actually that is probably how it's going to be in the future.
Yeah.
So outside of the kind of I suppose like the ego massaging at the start, which everybody, you know, I suppose enjoys, but also you know, is quite easy to receive. For me, that felt like there was some sincerity behind that, and that it wouldn't be just, you know, come and join and then get on and we'll see you in a bit kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of comfort out of that. I think from the few hour chat that I had with the founders, and also speaking to like yourself and other people in the network, for me, I found the culture was the thing that best fit my ambitions and my approach, really. And that was one, not necessarily of size, you know, because there are bigger networks available. And that was a concern for me as well, to be too big and to have too many people in a similar geography and a similar field. But it was really around trying to be the best that you can be, and not trying to, you know, kind of conquer the world, you know, but just be a world class in what you do.
Yeah.
And that's how I've kind of, I was, I suppose, brought up in previous roles, and how my kind of ambitions are personally. So I think we need to be brilliant at what we do, and that was the bit that came across really well in the initial meetings. And I suppose over and above that, I enjoy the fact that I can have my own brand and build that, because I think that is something that, you know, I want to do in the future. And so I think those were the things. But culture is the buzzword for me.
Yeah.
So you switched. So how did you kind of come to that decision?
I think culture, I think it's a huge part. It was important to me. I think, you know, we've talked about, you know, sometimes it can be too big, oversaturated. Maybe it's more of a personal, is that the right word?
Yeah.
You know, like you say, you can meet the founders. It just, I don't know, it just feels nice. It feels, the culture, you know, it's important that, I think I keep saying it, trust. You know, I really felt like I could trust the founders, I could trust the members. trust, comfortable. The culture is really
I
important.
think, and that's one of the things that we've worked together, haven't we? Since we've
Yeah.
since we've started, we've done asset inspections for one another.
Yeah.
We've supported each other with various bits, supplier checks, etc. And I
That's
think,
it.
for me, that the ability to trust the other people within the network is a huge
So important.
a huge thing, and also making sure that from the founder's vision, it's not to be the biggest, but it's to be world class and excellent at how we operate in our own areas.
Yeah.
And for me, that gives me comfort that the future members are going to be high quality people that we're
Yeah.
going to be quite like minded.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, switching over to Vaughan's,
Mhm.
there's lots of considerations.
Yeah.
What were the financial considerations that you had?
Value for money. I guess you appreciate you've got to pay, to keep your customers safe, to keep you safe, but equally you want to earn as much money as you can. So definitely the value for money. I think the more successful you are, there's a ratchet which you can probably talk about, and I think it's really appealing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that rewards success, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And so having a ratcheted commissions system works really, really well for the high achievers and those that want to really, really push on.
Yeah.
So I think that is there's some significant value there. I like the fact that there's a subscription model that really is that is it. That's what you're signing up to. It's
Yeah.
really not a huge commitment by any stretch, So and that includes a lot of software that comes with it. Your Microsoft package.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have access to all the funders and all the intranet and all that goodness. So for me, it does feel like there is value for money there. You're
Yeah.
aligning it to to something quite tangible.
Yeah.
Right, we're going on to the myth busting section now.
Yeah.
Love a bit of myth busting. So
Yeah.
we've got a few that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
I think your favourite one, job security.
Well, I suppose if you flip it on its head, you're never secure, are you?
No.
Anything could happen. You could get made redundant, something could go wrong. So, if you flip it on its head, are you actually secure?
Yeah, exactly. I think no one wants to pay you for not delivering, do they? So if you've got to deliver anyway, then go and deliver for yourself.
Exactly.
Would be my argument to that myth.
Yes.
Have we busted that one?
Yes.
Busted. The second one that I was going to pick up on was competitive rates. I think that this is a kind of a misnomer really, because frankly you've got many more businesses that are open to you to go and get a competitive deal for your customer. So for me, I just feel like there's always someone in the market that wants to compete in a position. There's no one market leader, and frankly, what we've ended up with is a panel of funders that want to support customers.
Yeah.
And I think you always think about competitive rates at the very sharpest end of the market, but in reality, the customers that want the most support are the ones in the middle of the market and the end of the market where competition is significant.
Yeah.
I think there's many options.
Yeah, and also, what the customer might want, or our customers, it might not be vanilla, and it might not fit, a rate down here. It might need to be, a little bit higher because it might be a bit complex, it might be a bit tricky, but the customers know that. I think they're aware of it.
Yeah, and I think it's not just about the overall rate; it's about the value that you're delivering with that as
Exactly.
well. Can you do a deal that matches the cash flow to the investment cash flow? Can you do a deal that defers the VAT, for example, or utilises a balloon to keep cash in the business?
Yeah.
Can you do seasonal payments? Can you do a lease and operating leases? All those options available that are not just based on price.
Yeah.
But you still can compete on price.
100%, yeah. Oh, one I always came across was, customers don't really like paying fees and commission and stuff.
Yeah, hear that all the time. And they don't, do they? No one likes paying extra than they should. But ultimately, businesses that have employees have to pay their staff.
Yeah.
So whether they look at that on a deal by deal basis or on an overall basis through targeting, ultimately that cost has to be paid somewhere out of the deal that's done. And we see this in many instances where we're dealing with funders that have their direct channel as well.
Yeah.
There are costs to be met. So I think it's a real myth and a misnomer that it's not possible to do that.
Yeah, and I've had experience, directly with clients where, you know, you make it easy for them. You know, the busy business people, aren't they? And they want sort of the ease. They want to be able to come to you and say, right, I need this. Can you sort it? And I have customers who've said, you know, you've done a real good job for me there, and I hope you're going to get rewarded for it.
Yeah, so a lot of people used to say to me, so are you not going to feel isolated and on your own?
Yeah.
Which I understand, because you're moving from a very big business or a decent sized business into potentially a one person band. So I understand that. But for me, that's not been my experience.
No.
How about you?
Yeah, no, well, you know, we're a community, aren't we? So we can pick up the phone, you can speak to each other. But I think, you know, equally, sometimes, you know, especially since COVID, I guess a lot of people are working from home anyway, so I don't think there'd be any difference there.
Yeah, my 5-year-old keeps me not feeling alone at any time. No, I think, but also your network is still there. It's still your network.
Yeah.
You know, the people that you used to work with. There's no reason why you can't talk to them. You know, you've got a network in introducers, in vendors and suppliers, and other people you network with. So, you know, there isn't that complete loneliness.
Of course not.
But I don't think that's really any different from kind of work, like you say, working from home in past lives anyway. Yeah, sure, there's times where you feel like you could do with a bit more human interaction, so go do it.
Go see
You
your
can go
customers.
do it. The next myth is that it's a one-way door. There's no return possible. The barrier's shut.
Once you've done it, you've done
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
No.
That's it. You've fallen. You're off.
Yeah. No, I think for me, you know, you know, you've got that skill set. That's your profession. You know how to do your job. You know what you're doing. You know, if you go give it a go, it might not be for everybody. You can still go back. You know, you don't just lose all of your skill set, and you know, you don't think you can't step back, because you can. You know, give it a go. If it doesn't work for you, you can always walk through another door.
Yeah, and I think you've gained a valuable skill set, haven't you?
Yeah.
Ultimately, you've gone and almost applied a lens that, you know, your customers that you're dealing with are dealing with themselves. You know,
Yeah.
how do you do the whole accounting, banking, all the things that you have to do yourself?
Yeah.
How do you go and do that? And from past history in recruiting for a larger business, you know, some of the key skills that you look for are that entrepreneurship and the ability to, you know, tackle adversity and also, like, sometimes just admit that it wasn't quite right and that you took a risk and it didn't quite work. So for me, like, it's a misnomer that it's a one-way street. Absolutely, you can go back if you needed to.
I agree.